Hey guys, I'm back. Man, I was watching the news today, and I've heard it on the radio, the news, and everything today, and about Detroit filing for bankruptcy. Guys, this is big. This is a bigger thing than y'all realize. Um, Democrat-led, leftist city that should be doing better than any city in the country, really. But they're a mess, guys, and they're a sign that things are not right. Um, you've got some of the biggest country companies in the country there, and yet the worst employment rate. Um, what's bad? I don't know. I don't even know where to start. The majority of their jobs are in construction and education. Now, it seems to me that if their education system was doing so good, then they would have something more than manufacturing jobs. They'd have jobs in business ownership, medical, not even medical, all kind of things like that. Finance. Their least, or one of their least employed businesses in that city is finance. And it stands to reason. Apparently nobody there can manage finance, which goes to show about the education system, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what happened here exactly? It was a chain reaction when Detroit, due to its bad money management, they were liberal-led. Their mayor, she pretty much ran the city in the ground, and she had help before her and before her and before her. Bad money management, and just like GM, which is in the same city, coincidentally. But bad money management, so where do they go? They want to tax more. Well, let's get those rich white people, we'll get their money. Because the white people, they're evil. Suburbanites, they had some of the white collar, mostly blue collar jobs. Let's just tax the crap out of them. Better yet, we'll tax the businesses too. And they made it a very unfriendly environment for business, and unfortunately, a big, huge business, manufacturer-based business like GM, they were stuck. You can't just up and pull out and leave. But smaller businesses, they're like, the hell with this. They move out. They leave. So there went jobs right there. Which also, there went taxpayers. And it was a chain reaction. The more of them moved out, the less taxpayer money coming in. The shorter they were on budget, so they taxed even more. Instead of making up for the decline in the population, which was a 25% decline from, the year 2000 to 2010, 25% in 10 years. It's a lot, because, they used to have 1.8 million people there. They're down to 700,000. That's over a million people leaving. But as their income moved out, they taxed the people and businesses that were still there more to make up for it, instead of cutting back expenditures And that, guys, this is just ridiculous. I mean, I don't even know. This words cannot express the stupidity. Yes, the stupidity. The unemployment rate there is at about 15%, which means the only people paying in are the people working with probably manufacturing jobs, and education jobs. Now, if there's so many education jobs there, apparently it's not doing any good whatsoever. And I'm definitely going to get to that in a minute, but let me get into the income issues first. Their unemployment rate is about 15%. 53% of those under the age of 18 and unemployed. Well, never mind. I read it. I'm looking at it wrong. There's just so much to shake your head at. It's just overwhelming. In 2010, the median income for the city per capita was $14,000. The median income for working family was 25 to 30. But once you count in all the unemployed and then average it together, it goes down to 14,000. So 32% of the families were below the poverty level, nearly half. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not going to make it a race issue. It doesn't matter. 82% black population, 10% white. My guess is, as these businesses were moving out and small jobs, small businesses moved out, left, the only people that really stayed didn't have a choice. Yeah, it's kind of like a Here Comes Katrina, New Orleans situation where some people are just stuck. They were already in a financial bind when all this started going downhill, and as it snowballed, they get worse and worse stuck. I actually have a friend up there that was just stuck, just couldn't move, because her family, they're too poor to leave, and knew that things weren't going to get any better, but what can you do, There's absolutely nothing to do about it. You just watch it all fall apart. Now, the economy, as I said, 15.8% unemployment in May last year. The education system, here we go. There are 66,000 kids in the public school system, right? From 11 to 2012. There's an additional 56,000 charter school students. There's some private schools scattered around. But what's scary is they only have a 68% graduation rate for the public school. 23% of Michigan 8th graders scored below basic in reading. 45% scored basic, 29% proficient, and only 3% advanced. I scored, I know in elementary school and middle school, higher than 80-something% of the nation's populace on those standardized tests. And I made a 23 on the ACT. It's nothing amazing, you know. These kids can't even hardly read. The majority of your jobs now in Detroit are education and manufacturing. And it's no wonder by the time they get through the education system, they're still not educated, and all they can do is manufacturing jobs. Not to put down on them on the manufacturing jobs, but there are so many other positions to be filled to run a whole city, you know. And they're getting stuck in this cycle of, you know, working at the factory instead of starting their own business. You know, who said GM had to be the only main car company up there? You know, there's plenty of factory buildings empty up there now, but nobody's educated or financially stable enough to build something to compete with them. And they've made it such a horrid financial environment for another business to move in and hire people that it ain't happening. You know, the main thing that bothers me is a lot of these issues affected in Detroit that led to its demise financially is the same practices that they want to put in our federal government. And that's what I've been coming to. When you make a business unprofitable, or make it so hard to start a business for somebody like me, which I'm trying, but it's hard. And, you know, with all this new stuff, it's just ridiculous. I mean, people are closing their doors and just going back to a job, everyday job for somebody else. You know, closing their store and going to work for Walmart for nothing, with no insurance, when they used to own their own business right down the street from Walmart. And that's what's happening. And this waste, you know, instead of cutting back on expenditures as the tax base left the city, they just taxed more to make up for the population loss. It doesn't make any sense. And that's the leadership that we have in charge right now. You know, they want to do all this stuff, and they're not willing to cut back on their programs and their pet projects. So when our tax money comes up short for what they were taxing us, and then they need more money, or they need to cut back, they just choose to take more money instead of make cuts. Let me check the time real quick. Okay. My school district here in where I live at cut $50,000, and we're not a big school district. Maybe an annual budget of about $1 million, which for a school that's not really that big. My graduating class had about 120 people. Not that big. But they cut $50,000 just by choosing to make parents within a quarter mile of the school take their kids to school or walk to school. And, you know, that's not a big deal. Quarter mile, I mean, that's only a couple blocks. Not a big deal. I mean, if you wake your kid up and get them ready for school, you could drive them a quarter mile. They cut $50,000 out of the budget. That's a teacher's salary. They would have had to lay off a teacher. They didn't. They would have cut money out of other programs, band, football, you know, higher education things, projects, field trips. They didn't. They didn't have to. They saw a need, they found a way to fill it in the way that would hurt the least. And it's not that difficult, people. When they have to make cuts, it's good. It means, if you have good leadership at least, it means that they'll shop around. You know, for example, police department, cities had cutbacks. Well, when they want police cruisers now, instead of going, well, Ford said that they'd give us 10 cars for $300,000. So we took it. Did you check anywhere else? Well, no, because we got the tax money. We don't care. They check now. They either make furloughs, stupid furloughs that make no sense, or they make choices. They shop around. They start worrying about things, you know, and a good business does that. They want to know what their bottom line is. They don't cut back on their products and their employees' benefits and all that, if they can help it. They cut back on cost by checking competition for their supplies. Simple as that. I mean, it's not that complicated. If a trucking company, shipping company, they've been getting gas at so-and-so gas stations, you know, for years and years and years, and they get cut rate 10%. Well, they find out that this other company will give them a cut rate of 15% on fuel instead of the 10% they're used to. If they've had to make cuts and have to actually worry about a budget, unlike the federal government, they're going to make a choice. They'll go over the numbers, how many places there are. Will it put us in a bind to do this? If not, what are the benefits? They could save $1 million a year just from that extra 5% discount. See what I'm saying? Cities, they need to do that. Shop around. Shop around on employee insurance policies. Shop around on supplies. Shop around on vehicles. Shop around on employees, you know. I mean, and look at their own budgets. Stop giving themselves raises while they're making cuts everywhere else. If you have a budget credit balance, per se, extra at the end of the year, get a bonus, get a raise. Stretch it out for 12 months. Instead of a bonus for Christmas, stretch that amount of money out over the next 12 months on top of your regular salary. Guys, it's not complicated. It's simple economics. And failure to do so is exactly why Detroit is in the shape it's in. And if we don't watch it, we'll be right behind them. Right behind them. GM's was a shining example, but now we've started with cities. So the government may end up with its own city as well as its own car company. I've had it. That's enough for now. I'll make another video about a different subject, but, you know, y'all get the point, I'm sure.